Alright, I re-wet the parts that got stiff pretty much right down the middle, which I expected to be stiff on a big buck. The neck, right down the middle, and the hump. Right on the rump. There's sort of a circular pad that's a little thicker. These are the places that you really expect to get stiff on you anyway. But this is called rebraining. This is the second time it's been in the solution. I normally don't do this. Normally I would smoke it first and then rebrain. But we're going to try it just because I'm making videos. I got this camera. We'll see how it goes. We can document the whole thing. These are places that got wet. You see where it lowered the nap. I have to buff that back out. That'll get a little sort of crusty feel to it, but it'll buff out. Those are places that are dry. Try not to get the dry places wet. You see right there's a little scar. So that's where we're at. And see, this is places that got mildly, just a little wet. This is totally saturated. See how the brain juice comes out from between the fibers as I pull them. That's sort of the object of this, is to keep that juice going in all different directions, while the glue is set around each individual fiber. This isolates them, keeps them lubricated. This is actually a little too wet, so I moved it a little closer to the fire, and I could probably still wring quite a lot of juice out of this. But I want to give it a little extra soaking time since it's stiffened up on me. Make sure that's really totally saturated with brains. Can you see that that's pink water? So that's totally saturated with brains in it. There's a spot that got stiff on me. Look. That's where the glue is set up around inside. By working it in detail like this, make sure every little spot gets saturated. Now, if the weather was a little more cooperative, this goes a lot easier, a lot faster, and it would have been done the first time I brained it. But I'm fighting with humidity and temperature and fast drying times and slow drying times, and it's just a fight here in South Georgia with the environment all the time as far as keeping things dry or drying things out. So we're going to give this a little drying time, a little hand stretching time, and as it goes, we'll take a few shots here and there, let you see how things is going. Alright, I just wanted you to see how, if you remember how stiff that neck was a while ago, it wouldn't hardly stretch at all. And now that it's wet again, saturated, watch. I just pulled that about 6 inches, check that out. That's the benefit of rebraining. The disadvantage is I've got to do all that buffing again. Alright, so I got to work this some more. I'm letting this really stiff edge just hang in what's left of the brains in the bucket down here, which is not much. Alright, you can see I got this mostly dry. It's terrible in here by the fire. Terribly, terribly hot. So you have to excuse me, I had to take some clothes off before I burst into flames. But I'm trying to force this thing dry. It's just so humid outside, and I'm having a hard time getting it to evaporate good. But you see how I've gone from sopping wet. The neck was just like this, sopping wet. I've worked that piece from the neck back almost dry. I'm keeping it going, and as this thing slowly dries, see how it fades from wet over back towards dry. All this is still medium wet, so I just keep working this in all different directions. Look how much stretch. And basically you're going to keep doing this until the whole skin's dry. That's pretty much, I mean, you're not really committed. You can put this in a bag. It's pretty hard to get a frame. It's hard to get a bag big enough to go over a frame. So if I would have not finished this last night, what wasn't dry would have been completely rawhide. So I managed to save myself just by the hard spot still being a little moist. Seems I got really good brain penetration this time. So I'm gonna keep working this, and we'll check back later when it's closer to being dry. Watch how this dries. See, it's getting dry. I need to work that. Watch as it dries. The more I stretch it, the drier it gets. Keep pulling in different directions, all different directions, from wet to dry. Basically, I've been doing the whole hide like this, and I'm going to keep doing the whole hide like this until it's dry. When it's completely dry, you touch it with the back of your hand and it'll feel wet. This part right here is dry. It feels warm when you touch it. This piece here is still moderately wet. It's not completely dry, and it feels wet to the back of your hand. You can't really tell with the front of your hand, or I can't, because mine are really tough. Keep it hide moving in all different directions until it's dry.